Guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a tutorial on this bronzy eye contoured look. You guys know this is my typical everyday go-to look. I've done this look several times on my channel. I did this tutorial not too long ago. You guys probably remember that one. I did this tutorial as well, and I did this one kind of a while back. But yeah, I've done this type of look several times on my channel, but today I really wanted to pull out all the stops and kind of show you guys from beginning to end what is all involved, because it does involve a lot of prep and prime and setup and contouring, and shade and light play together, as well as contour and highlight. They work together. Without that contrast, you don't really kind of get that full effect, if you will. So I kind of go over how to set up for this look through the contouring, and I'll kind of show you guys all that. You guys will see it all come together. Really quickly, I'm going to show you guys what I use to achieve the look besides bronzing my crease with the Hoola bronzer. I toggle back and forth between the 35G Bronze Goals palette from Morphe, which looks like this. I don't think I have touched this in a hot minute. It's been like 7 or 8 months since I played in this palette, but oh my gosh, I love it because it is so me. And then I dipped into the 35O palette, which looks like this. So that is that for this look. If you guys want to see how I achieved it and learn some tips and tricks for the actual setup, which is basically, you know, what this whole look revolves around. I mean, without that setup, you can't achieve the look. So yeah, if you guys want to see how I did that, then just keep watching. If you guys are new, I want to take a minute to welcome you guys to my video and my channel. My name is Lauren Jade. I'm 57. I have mature, crepey, wrinkly skin with hooded eyes that are slightly downturned. So I'm always looking for ways to kind of pass my tips and tricks on to you guys, even though we all have different eye shapes and different levels of hoodedness. Hopefully you guys can tweak some of the things and pick up a few things so you guys can rock your hooded eyes as well. So with that said, if you guys are new, I would love to have you join me. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell right next to it. That way YouTube will notify you each and every time I upload. And without further ado, let's just get right into this tutorial. All right, so in trying to decide how I was going to kind of go over and do this look, I felt like it would be best to kind of go over everything, because a lot of times with the beauty gurus, there's a whole lot of movie magic going on. You know, you might see kind of the beginning and then kind of the middle, but then you see the end. There's a lot of fast forwarding, there's a lot of editing that goes on, and there's a whole lot of missed and skipped steps. So I felt like in order to really kind of give this full presentation, I really needed to start, quote, at the beginning and show you guys how I prep. Because a lot of times when I do my tutorials, I am already primed and prepped and ready to go. Today, I am not primed and prepped. So I'm going to show you the prime and prep steps, because I feel like that is what is the foundation of this look. So I am going to start from the very, very beginning. So first things first, that I always do is I take a little bit of concealer, and I'm going to use this Zoeva eyebrow brush. I don't think this even has a number on it. This came in my, oh yeah, it's a 322 brow line. This came in a rose gold set that I got last year. Straight from Germany, before they even started selling at Ulta. I'm going to grab a little bit of this Benefit concealer, and I'm going to carve out my actual brows, because the brows is the start of this look, because this look follows the alignment of the brow and works with the nose contour, works with the shape of the brow. So that being said, we're going to start out by having this brow alignment, and I'm just going to carve right underneath it just to clean it up. And just make sure that that alignment is exactly where I need it to be for the look. Very next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to prime my lids. A lot of times I use MAC's Paint Pot and Soft Ochre, but today I'm going to use my P. Louise base and my P. Louise brush. And Morphe finally got the 0 in, so I can't wait. This is Rumor 2, but I absolutely cannot wait to get the 0 because that's totally me. And this stuff I ordered directly from London when I got the Secret Sinner palette. All right, so I'm just right now putting this on the lid, and I'm going to be placing the primer kind of everywhere where I'm planning to place shadows. So that includes out here a little ways, as well as the lid, the crease area. And I'm going to take it in a little bit. So I'm going to really go in here. So into this region right here. Right here. Right on the very inner socket. Almost towards like where, like kind of like the nose contour area is going to start. So I'm really kind of going right in here. Try to get an angle upwards here. Hold on just a quick second here. So right in this area right here. So a little bit in front of like the tear duct and kind of right in there. I'm going to want to put my primer there because I'm going to be putting shadow there. Make sure I get that inner corner right here. All right, this was last year's holiday palette from Laura Mercier. So I'm just going to grab this white, kind of a white bone shade. And you can use anything that's kind of white or ivory. And I'm going to set the inner corner right here, this inner socket right here, kind of right where I did place that primer on the inner part. That's where I really want it to be white. So I'm going to make sure that I set that there. When you're working with shade and light, contour and highlight work together. So without that brightness and without that light, that contour doesn't really do its like what it's supposed to do, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to really pat this in here. All right, so I'm patting it right here, right on this inner part of this socket, right in here. And make sure you take it in far enough so that it will, when you do the contour of the nose, you'll see that it will all come together. I'm also going to just dust a little bit right up here underneath the brow area right here. Hoping you guys can see like right in there, right on this very inner socket. And then I'm going to put a little bit underneath the arch of the brow. All right, so the next setup is, now that I'm primed and ready to go, I'm going to put in some baking powder, and I'm also going to kind of contour through the nose area. So let's take a look at this sheet here. Focus. If you look at this model, you can see how the nose contour, I'm hoping you guys can see this without the glare. You can see how that nose contour goes right up through this area right here. So it starts with the nose contour, goes right on up and connects into that upper eyebrow bone, that right upper, like that socket region right up in there. All right, so it might be easier to see on this packaging right here, but you can see that there's that nose contour that goes up in here and connects to that upper socket bone area right up in here. That's what we're going to be doing. And then I'm going to be doing my under eye baking to do that extra highlight, so that there's the highlight and then the nose contour, and then you've got the highlight on the inner part, and then we're going to do the contour and the shading when you do like the fake crease and all of that. So you guys will see how that will all come together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the contour portion of it. And I'm grabbing my Cheek Leader Bronze Squad Benefit as always, because we're going to be using the Hula. You guys know that I always bronze my crease up with the Hula. So I'm just going to use this little brush that it came with. And I'm not going to do too much with the nose contour, just like a tiny bit, just to add that contour so you guys get that full presentation, so you guys can see how it fully comes together. All right, so I do a little mixture for my under eye baking and highlighting. I kind of use a mixture of this No Color translucent powder from RCMA along with the Luxury banana powder from Ben Nye. So I kind of mix those two together in a little pan here. And I'm just going to make sure that I hit right underneath where I did my nose contour. So we can slice that. And I know that some people really kind of like to bake underneath here. I mainly do mine for the under eye, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to do a little bit more precision with my contour, and I've grabbed this MAC 275. It's an angled shader brush. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that bronzer, and I'm going to focus it right in this little region right here. Because this is what's going to connect to this upper socket region when I bring that bronzer inward. You guys know that I'm always doing my inner corner shading, and I'm always talking about how I'm connecting it to the nose contour and that bridge. This is the area that I'm talking about. So I'm just going to put in a little marking right here, just to kind of put that little shading in there, I guess, if you will. Kind of right in this area right here. Just going to do really, really light. I'm going to grab my hula that I have here in my Ricky Loves Ricky Colorful. And now we are finally ready to start the eyeshadow look. We are now fully primed and ready to go. All right, so I just put in that little contour area right there, and I'm going to start this, and I always kind of lean back, you guys know, because I need to be able to see my full socket line. So when you do that, you can really see that shape, and I'm just going to kind of follow my natural shading. But I always start this like in the center because I want the focus on this bronzer to always be on that inner corner shading and to connect into this nose contour and to kind of brush up towards the brow because it just gives such a beautiful, soft, sultry, sexy fade in the beginning, and I love that. And then when I get towards the end, I usually kind of wing it out and kind of feather it out. So that's kind of where I'm going to start this. It's kind of like right in this little center because this is the shade that's going to kind of peak above everything else, and it's just going to kind of warm it up. So I'm just lightly kind of mapping out the overall shape that I'm going for, and you can see that I'm taking it in this upper socket area right here in this inner socket really high, and I'm going to connect it to that little nose contour shading that I just put in. So I'm going to kind of connect that. I'm also going to kind of push it up a little bit towards the brow because that's what's going to kind of soften it. And then all of the rest I'm just going to kind of come back down here with. When I get out to the end, I'm going to kind of hug in my little, I call this my little plug and play area right here towards the end of the socket. I'm just going to kind of hug that. And as always, I'm just going to kind of feather this out. All right, so dipping into the 35G Bronze Goals Morphe palette, I'm going to toggle back and forth between the shade Sandy and the shade Deserted, and I'm going to use a M433 for this. And a MAC 217 is the same, a Sigma E25. You can use the Hakuhodo J5523. I mean, there's just a lot of brushes that are similar to this. But this works because it's a flat. So I'm just going to kind of dip back and forth. And on this one, I'm going to really kind of start in my little plug and play section right back here. I'm really going to kind of hug the socket on this one and then just kind of flick it upwards a little bit, I guess, if you will, because I do want to get that elongated effect. And then I'm just going to follow my natural eye socket shape on this one, and I'm just going to take it straight up to kind of towards the brow. I'm going to take it really, really high, and then I'm going to kind of drag it across. And again, dragging it across high enough so that it connects with this nose contour right there. Those little marks that we kind of put in is just going to kind of connect in with that. And we're taking it really, really high because we're going to leave a lot of room for right in here, because we really want to cheat that lid space, and we really want to make our eyes look a lot more bigger than they actually really are. So that's kind of the game plan with that. And my plug and play area is right here, as I've always said, kind of like almost towards the end, a few millimeters. Because my eyes are slightly downturned, I don't take it all the way down to the end, but almost to the very end, where you can still kind of push in, but just up a little bit, almost as if I were following my lower lash line up. Taking this really high up towards the brow area. And then I'm going to be dragging that in and downward to connect with this little nose contour that we put in. So you can kind of see how that all kind of connects. I'm going to go back in with that first MAC 224 fluffy brush. I don't remember if I said that I was using a MAC 224 for that first bronzer shade, and I'm just going to buff this out. I'm going to toggle back and forth now between my bronzer shades, my crease shades, and my highlight, my bright inner corner shade. So I'm grabbing this one. This is the 35O palette, and I'm going to grab this bone shade right here. I'm putting it on this MAC 224. Just going to swirl that inner corner, again, making sure that I get that inner nose area right there. And dusting a little tiny bit out here just to kind of connect and graze the edges of those bronzer shades that I just put in, just so that everything is nice and airy and light out here, because I like that airbrushed kind of finish, and that's how I get it. All right, back in with the 35G. I'm going to go back into the shade Deserted on the 433, and I'm really going to kind of start to define this crease shape and really kind of get some definition, some depth in there. So I'm going to go back in, and I'm really going to deepen this up. I want to get some depth and dimension in here, and I also want to start to kind of almost define, like I quote, a fake crease. So I'm taking this above my natural crease a few millimeters, and I'm holding this brush. I know it's probably hard to tell, but I'm kind of holding it horizontally because of the type of brush that it is, and because I want the color to go exactly where I want it. If I hold the brush down here like this, right, and I go up, it's going to push that color up. So I'm kind of holding it more like horizontally, and then I'm just going again straight up and over, because I really want to kind of keep in that alignment with that nose contour that I put in. And holding it up like this, the bristles on the side of this brush will kind of do the blending for you, so that's kind of why I hold it up like this. And then I'm kind of hugging the socket out here, and I'm just kind of flicking it out right here. You can also turn this brush like horizontally, and you can blend upwards that way as well. Just another trick you can do with this brush. Helps you to get it kind of buffed out more. So the pattern I'm kind of following here is kind of almost like a sideways S pattern, like I did in my other videos, where I kind of start out here, and then I kind of go up towards the brow, and then I'm kind of coming over and connecting it. So it's almost kind of like a little squiggly little S, if you will. I want to warm up the look just a tiny bit, so I'm going to grab this shade right here. And because I'm working with light shades, I'm going to stick with the same brush because I kind of want that same effect. And And I'm going to put it in my little plug and play area, same thing. I'm not going to take this all the way in though. I'm just going to kind of take it up a little bit and just mainly kind of focus this on this outer section right here. Just kind of flick that out. All right, I'm going to kind of push that color upwards a little bit and just kind of blend that lighter shade into these other bronzer shades that I've got going on. Just really lightly kind of pushing. You guys know how much I love my tapping and pressing. I love that so much. And then I'm just going to take this fluffy brush here and a little bit of that bone shade from that 35O palette and just kind of swirl out here a little bit just to kind of catch the edges of everything. Keeping everything light and airy. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of this shade right here, this Wannabe shade. So I'm kind of like a cool tone brown, and I'm just going to dust a little bit of that like right in this inner section right here, just to add a little bit of definition to this inner socket right here. A little bit right there. I always like to define that inner socket area. Like right there. And you can see that as your contour deepens, that's where you get that dark to light contrast. You can see that it's a lot more prominent now that we got that in there. All right, I'm going to grab this shade right here, which is Necked, and I'm just going to kind of mimic just a tiny little portion of a fake crease just right on the end. This is a J242 from the Hakuhodo J series. This brush is perfect for that step, and I'm just going to go right in here. It's almost going to kind of look like, it's kind of mimicking my natural crease, which is right here. Just, I'm going to add that little accent of depth right there. What happened to my 433? Maybe this piece of chocolate I'm eating will help me find it. All right, I found it. It was on the floor. I'm going to grab some of these shades and I'm just going to put them on this lower part of this lid right here. And that is pretty much it for this look. We're going to do the lid and the wings liner. It's going to kind of add a tiny bit of depth right into this inner corner socket right here. And just like bring it down here on this lid right here. That is about it. All right, I'm going to toggle back and forth between a flat to finer brush, a little smudger brush, and an angled brush. And for my wing, I want to do kind of that gradient. I want to do this shade right here because I absolutely love these dark burgundy, deep burgundy, kind of chocolatey brown shades. So I'm going to toggle back and forth between that and then a deeper brown. So it's going to kind of have that gradient from kind of that reddish brown into like a dark brownish black, if you will. And I'm just going to start out here like I always do, and I'm just going to stamp this on my, kind of wiggle it between my lashes just to add some depth and dimension to the lashes. And then I'm just going to kind of push the color upwards a little bit just to kind of smoke it up a bit. Take it a little bit thicker on this outer corner right here. And I'm going to kind of pull it out a little bit. Just kind of give that little cat eye. I'm going to take it in, but not too, keep it kind of thinner on the inner corner. All right, just to kind of really deepen up the lash line, I'm going to switch to this little angled liner brush, this Hourglass number 10, and I'm going to go into the black, I think. So it's going to kind of gradient from that, almost like that rich, kind of that reddish brown into the black. And I'm just going to keep this really, really close to the lashes, because I want to keep that gradient going. So I'm not going to take this up very high. I'm going to keep this really, really low, kind of below that reddish chocolatey shade that I put in. And when I get out to the end, I'm just kind of doing a little tiny baby wing. I'm just kind of pulling it out, and then I'm going to drag it down here just to make a little tiny baby wing. So I'm just going to pull it out, make a little wing here, just super tiny, and then I'm going to go back to the flat definer brush with a little bit more of that reddish brown shade, and I'm going to just put a little bit of that on top. I'm going to grab some of these shades and just kind of smoke around this little wing, almost like, so that like the end of this wing can kind of almost kind of connect to the lower lash line smoke right down here. So I'm just going to kind of, all right, so you could leave this like this if you wanted to do a matte inner corner. You could totally leave it like this and you would rock it, and I do that a lot. This is literally like my go-to look. But I'm going to grab one of these like shimmery type shades. If this is not bright enough, I may spritz the brush, or I might switch to a different palette. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go into this shade. I think this is Glow or something. I wish they would put the names on these palettes, and I wish they would add mirrors. Oh, I'd be in heaven. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up super high, like right on this inner corner. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. All right, I got this Morphe pencil right here. This one's in the shade Coconut. I just want to outline right up in here, in this region right here, where I want it to be extra bright, just to kind of give that more of that contrast. And as I was saying, you could totally just, you know, keep it like this because you've already got that nice and bright and that ivory shade in the inner corner. You could add like a peach, like a light peach smoothie type shade. All right, so I'm just going to really intensify this. All right, I'm going to go back into this shade right here, which is the Glare shade. And I'm using a Sigma cream color brush for this. And I think this will be bright enough. And for this look, you want to make sure that you kind of cover the same ground that you did when you were doing your prep. So you want to bring it in a little bit. If you're doing shimmer on the lid, you just want to stick with like a powder, right? I'm going to grab a tiny bit more of that lighter shades from the Bronze Goals palette, and I'm just going to go right on top of the border where the shimmer kind of, just to kind of clean it up. Kind of re-put back in that definition. Connect it to the nose contour, and we are done. All right, I'm going to bronze using Icon. This is their bronzer. I'm just going to use a La Mer powder brush. Just going to dust a little bit. I'm going to spray the face, and then I'm going to come back and give you guys my final thoughts and tell you guys like what is next. All right, now I am ready to spray the face. Got my fan, I got my Morphe Continuous Mist Setting Spray. Here we go. All right, guys, that completes the look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, I'm sorry it was so long, you guys, but honestly, I just feel like, you know, when you have to, I just felt like I needed to go over all of the steps, including the setup, which is What takes the longest? I just can't stand movie magic. It annoys the heck out of me. You don't learn anything, and yeah, I don't understand the purpose of all of that. But sorry it was so long. But anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much for watching.